Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are going to get started in 1 minute. Just give people a little bit chance to join. And if you wouldn't mind sharing in the chat where you zooming in from, and if this is your first meeting or you've seen some more stuff that we've done. Just take a quick minute. Hi, Lloyd. Nice to see you.
Hello, this is Ed Cruz. I am filling in for Mr. Long. Mr. Long had to leave the building.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Ed.
I'm
Great.
trying to adjust this
Welcome.
camera here, but there we go.
Great, Michelle. Nice to have you here. Kelly. Hi, Brandy. Welcome back. Just gonna wait another minute and then hi, nice to see you again. All right, so today we are going to really dig in. Today's session is going to be actionable things you can, well, this is what all of them are designed to do. But what can you do today, tomorrow, the next day to help build more relationships and connection in your building and districts? That's the point of today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have the list up and the chat up if you all have questions. And so again, very important. How is everyone feeling on a scale of Conmigo? We had this fun little Conmigo one today. Actually, I can't take credit for this. One of our professional learning specialists made this. We have, let's see, whatever you say is correct. We have some ones, a couple of ones to be here. I am, I think this week I feel a little bit like a six, but I'm definitely one to be here with you all today. So, who am I again? Who's your host? So hi everyone, my name is Danielle Sullivan. I am in charge of Northeast District Partnerships for Khan Academy. I used to be a New York educator, and I'm just excited to be spending time with you talking about things that matter in education, with a little twist of AI to it. So yeah, y'all, it's it's been a hard couple of months. How many of you felt like one of my Bitmojis this week? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot. And this was literally the news headlines from today. So I know it's been a lot. I know this was from this morning. I read this. It's been a lot. And I'm just gonna leave this at this. That's all I'm gonna say. So what I want us to do today is really dig into what we can do as leaders given the stress and everything. And today's going to be filled with real actionable next steps and then ways you can use AI to do the same thing. But I want to start with Sal Khan's. How many, obviously, you know who he is. Does everyone know who he is, right? Yeah. Okay. If you've been on this before, you know who he is. But he wrote Brave New Words, which just came out last summer. And I like to start with a quote from him, and then I'm going to start with a quote from Brene Brown because I really want us to think through as leaders. So in Saul's book, he talks about educated bravery. To get the best from technology, we have to reconsider what's possible. We have to ponder how to mitigate risk, fears, hesitations. It requires rethinking everything. We're at a turning point in education. We still are at a turning point in education. But I love this quote from Brene Brown. If you have ever read any of her books, I feel like Brene Brown's research kind of put language around things I've known and seen in education for a really long time. And I love this. It's from her Dare to Lead book. Leadership's not about titles or the corner office. It's about the willingness to step up, put yourself out there, lean into courage. The world is desperate for braver leaders. It's time for all of us to step up. It's hard. It was hard in 2020 education. It's been 5 years since COVID. It's still sort of, it's still been a challenge. So today, I'm going to invite you to think about five shifts on how we can continue to prioritize building cultures of learning in our schools and districts. So, we're going to go through each of these shifts. I'll give you some ideas and then we'll talk about how AI can enhance that and what we're thinking about with Conmigo. And I'll pause after each section if you have questions, comments, or wanna engage more. And we changed this to a meeting because I wanted to see people's faces and not just have like random screens. So as engaged as you want to be, that would be amazing. I have the chat up. So the first shift, invisible to intentional. How do we move from being an invisible leader to intentional leaders? Now, y'all don't mean to be invisible leaders, right? Like the challenge is you get pulled. You get pulled. You start the Monday with the best intentions to do all of these amazing things. And then what happens? Who's ever gotten pulled away from things when they've planned something? Yeah, pulled, pulled, pulled. Now, this research came out actually. Have you ever heard of Youth Truth? It's a national nonprofit, and they came out with a student wellness survey in 2022. And I'm sure this just has just gotten worse, unfortunately. But only 22% of secondary students feel their teachers understand their lives. Like this whole thing, you can Google it, Youth Truth Survey. It's been really interesting. Kids don't feel like adults care. And other research has shown one adult, y'all, one adult can make a huge difference in a student's life. One. It just takes one. So what can you do today? Okay, this is like today, tomorrow, the next day. Things you can do to prioritize human connection, schedule connection walks in your building. If you do not schedule it, it does not happen. So take time to say, you know what, this week, Monday, Wednesday, I am going to walk through the halls of my school and smile. That is it. That is it. It's really, I know it's so complicated, everybody, but just walking through and just looking and just saying hi, say hey to students, say hey to teachers, just get out there and be visible. It can make such a difference. Begin staff meetings with a human moment. And couldn't you tell? I used AI to actually create all of these images. And you can use AI to create all these images. You can start your staff meeting by asking for a fun story. And I'd probably set a timer because some people love to tell stories for the entire staff meeting. So you can still like engage people, but keep it at a clip. What are you grateful for? Start with a quick gratitude minute. Start your staff meeting with baby animals. I'm a big fan of showing baby animals. Baby animals gets people to lean in, smile, start bringing that oxytocin, or a musical moment. Have people submit their favorite song, start a staff meeting with a different song each time. Something so small can bring the human element back. Leave educators and or students handwritten notes of appreciation. This can go such a long way, especially I know in the Northeast, a lot of you are probably starting testing season, or you're finishing state testing, or you're about to begin state testing. It is stressful. Walking by and just doing a quick note on a sticky note and putting it on a teacher's door in their mailbox, that is huge. And something else that's kind of fun. What if you played Name Game Friday? What if you recognize 5 staff members on morning announcements with a fun win that they had this week? Or maybe just recognize 5 teachers and put notes in their mailboxes. All of this, it's free, it's easy, and the reward and return on your investment is huge. How can Conmigo help you? So, y'all, every one of you, if you haven't met with me yet, happy to meet with you to talk about this, but you can get Conmigo for free. These are the teacher tools I'm talking about. So you can sign up for a free account. I'll give you my information at the end. I'm happy to give you demo codes if we haven't met yet. Happy to talk more about partnerships, but Conmigo, our teacher tools, can help you do this. So if you don't pay for the ChatGPT subscription and you want a free tool to help you create some of these more connected moments, you can create a class newsletter and create a school-wide newsletter that celebrates staff and student wins. You can have a connection corner. Like there's so many things you could do to really highlight what's working in your buildings and bring back the human element. You also can use a question generator to come up with fun questions before a staff meeting, a professional learning day. Encourage teachers to, maybe select 10 different questions and then teachers could pick one before they do their PLC or a data meeting and just get to know each other a little bit more, or just, what's your favorite color? Something so simple, but just remember that people are humans. Calm your cortisol and then get to work on whatever task you're about to do. We have something called Fun Class Summary Poem. You can make a poem out of your morning announcements and read it in a fun poem style. You could actually make a poem about anything. My favorite is to make a poem about a math class or like a really complicated math math concept. And then if when you have the district partnership with us, it comes with ChatGPT, but you could have ChatGPT help you write a shout out blurb, feedback on walkthroughs, ideas for songs to play in the morning. Like if you wanted a Friday pump up song, I've been in schools that they've had songs over the morning announcements. It changes the entire energy of the district. All right. That was the first shift. I just shared several ideas with you. This is being recorded. We'll definitely give you a summary afterwards, but is there something that you're excited about what I just shared? I'll give you a pause, reflection moment in the chat if you want to take a social and academic risk and come off of mute. What's one thing you either do or want to do? And whatever you heard me say is correct. I'll do the creepy smile pause moment.
Danielle, I'll come off mute and
Thank
say,
you.
so my daughter, who's in fourth grade, they're doing TCAP this week, and they did it last week. And so her teacher sent home like an envelope with little note cards in it and asked us to write like words of encouragement or just some little positive note to our kid so that she could give one to the kids every day. And I actually had ChatGPT create my prompts for me because I was tired and couldn't think. And the ones that it came up with were so cute. Like all I had to do was tell them that, it was a girl, she was 10, she likes sparkles and glitter, go for it. And it gave me one that said something like, you don't need magic to ace this test. You've got brain smarts. So go kick this test in the rear or something like that. It was really, really cute and I was really pleased.
Oh
And
my
she's
gosh,
loving
Brandy,
them.
thank you for sharing. See, that wasn't hard. Brandy just shared something. She came off mute. Um, exactly. Especially in the moment when you are tired and burned out or stressed, AI can really help you bring the joy back, the fun back, the humor back, and just reconnect you with yourself in a way that helps reconnect with others. I love that. I mean, I'm a super creative person too, but sometimes I just can't think of the fun song, right? Or I can't think of the fun, cute thing to say, or the note. Like sometimes you need a little extra umph. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? I love that Michelle put human moment at the beginning of the meeting. Awesome. All right. So that was the first shift. Now, the second shift, a lot of times we're stuck on having to know the answers leaders versus deep listening. So this is just another simple shift because sometimes, you feel the pressure. You have to say like, yes, I know it. But sometimes you just have to listen more. And I'm going to quote from Brene again. Trust is built in small moments, but it can be broken all at once. How many of you know that to be true or seen that in your lives? Yeah. And she talks about the marble jar. Have you ever read her work or seen her TED Talks? But it takes a long time to build trust with people, but unfortunately, it can be broken really fast. So if teachers don't feel like you hear them, if they feel cut off, if they don't feel like anything they say matters, then that is a quick way to break trust. Curiosity, however, curiosity has become my go-to. It's understanding how to ask questions, lean in, approach it with like be a learner, not a knower mindset. And it helps build psychological safety when your educators know that you're actually going to ask them more questions and give space and not just come up with solution. It models that you're open to your teams. It helps spark more creativity and innovation when you can approach something as a leader through the curiosity, holding that space, and it helps pause. I mean, I've used this with my family. Trust me, it's a really good tool because there's times where sometimes somebody says something to you and you want to just react, be like, seriously, like what is happening or why are you being that way? Versus that's like how I want to react, but I pause and say, I'm curious as to why this person said this. I'm curious as to why they're behaving this way. Like even just that can help you with that moment. What else can you do? You could actually host monthly listening lunches or drop in office hours. Now, I know teachers, their lunchtime is super precious, but maybe a teacher would love a personal invite to have lunch with you. Speaking of lunches, this is so interesting. This morning, literally this morning, one of my former students Facebook messaged me asking about recommendations for the manipulatives I would use with her, which is so sweet that she like wants to use that with her daughter. But she said, I was, I'm like, I've worked with so many teachers now since I've left teaching, and sometimes I wish I could go back and fix some things that I did with you or whatever. She was like, my favorite moments with you were when you would invite us to lunch, because I did a reward with my students that they could have like lunch with me if they got a certain amount of participation points or something. She's like in her mid 20s, and that's what she remembers. People aren't going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how they made you feel. So inviting teachers, it's something so little it's not so little. It takes time, and time is really precious, but this could really make a world of difference. You could also create a sticky note wall. I love a good sticky note. Have you ever seen there's sticky notes you can get that are half sheets? They're so fun. Like everyone loves a good sticky note. You could have a wall in your office. You could have a wall in the faculty room with questions like, I wish my admin knew, bup, 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 bup. What's working better than expected? What sparks joy? Just having something that's visible, reflective, shows that you care and shows that you're listening. Another huge thing, create a culture of yes and. Who has ever seen improv? If you haven't seen, I mean, you've also seen terrible improv, I bet. But there's something called yes and. It's the first rule of improv. It's basically accepting and amplifying. But instead of somebody coming to you with a problem and you are like a no, but, if you just even shift that to yes and, let's figure it out. Yes, and it's a whole someday when I see you in person, and I do a whole activity around yes and like, and it's definitely it's been a huge shift for me and just my approach to things. How does AI help you do any of this, right? Again, you can have the questions generator, ChatGPT. You could have Conmigo help you with the questions for the sticky note wall. You could have Conmigo give you suggestions for when to schedule the office lunches. You can actually use AI to help manage your calendar. You can even ask Conmigo to help with one-on-one coaching questions for maybe a difficult, or you have to have a difficult conversation with one of the teachers, and you want to make sure you're asking the right questions. So speaking of right questions, we're going to play a little activity around questions. I swear these are the best 4 questions. I've tested these with teachers and leaders across the country, actually globally. These are really great questions to generate conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them, and I just want you to pick one and answer in the chat. So what do you love to do? What's one of your favorite activities? What are your hopes and dreams? What frustrates you? Or if you could have a superpower, what would it be and why? So even just take these 4 questions. You're welcome. You can use these in your staff meeting. So I'd love for take a minute if you want to answer one of these in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, that'd be great. Thank you, Christine. Fast typer. Erase people's memory of a conversation. That's great, Michelle. Oh, we have a bunch of people want to erase people's memories. Okay. Favorite activities: being outside with your kids, live an impactful life for others. These are amazing. These are really good before a day of professional learning, before a staff meeting, before a PLC. Starting with questions. Doesn't have to be these 4 questions, but I'm telling you, I've tested these. They offer really good ways to connect. It creates a psychological safe space. It starts to calm our amygdala and want us to lean into more of the learning. And I'm telling you, if I could have a superpower, what would it be? I would be able to touch a book and learn the knowledge. So I would get my PhD by just running through the library, touching everything. That would be great. I would love that superpower. All right, another pause thing. What do you commit to doing tomorrow? What's one thing that you're really excited that you want to do for listening purposes? Or what do you already do? And I'll just do a creepy smile if anyone wants to share. I love that this is super interactive today. Thank you. Hunting and playing golf. Hopefully you're not hunting while you're playing golf. That would be fun. Not really for the people playing golf. All right, wall of reflection at home. Great. Keep the conversation going with questions instead of reactions. Great. And you guys can, yes, y'all can react to each other in the chat too. I love that Zoom has that. You can like heart each other's responses, all the things. All right. So now another shift. How do we build more cultures of learning? Rigor first to regulation first. What? Yeah, let's talk about burnout for a second. Burnout, this is actually, I'm going to lean into the research. There's a book, the Nagoski sisters wrote this book. It was released during COVID, but I talked about burnout last session too, but it's worth really talking about burnout, especially in April of a really intense year in education. So what causes burnout? Emotional exhaustion plus depersonalization, when you feel like it just like you start to remove the human element of things and you feel like nothing you do matters. So these are kind of the three components that cause burnout. Does anyone feel this way or can anyone relate to how this feels? Yeah. And you don't have to like you could be burnout and then you can be okay. And then you could be burnout and then you could be okay. Like this could be a weekly cycle. This could be a lot of different things. But what their research says, which is really interesting when we talk about emotional regulation, I want to talk about the difference between stress and stressors. So there's stressors, anything that can activate a stress response in our body. So maybe you're having issues, stressed at work, money, family, cultural norms, trauma, discrimination, depression. Like there's so many things that can create a stress response in your body. But stress, it's the neurobiological shift that happens in your body, right? So there's things that impact it, then there's what happens to you in your body. Here's the kicker, y'all. Just because you've dealt with the stressor doesn't mean you've dealt with the stress in your body. And what they talk about in this book, which is really, they call it completing the stress cycle. So they reference that a lot of times, let's talk about caveman days, right? You would see a tiger, you knew the tiger was threatening, even though the tiger, like you're hiding in the bush and then you see somebody come and kill the tiger and you know the tiger's no longer going to eat you, you still are going to carry that stress with you. That's what happens. And our brains don't know that a bad work email is not a tiger. It's not telling you the difference. So we still have our amygdala, and I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. The amygdala is where you have that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And what happens when that amygdala is triggered for whatever reason, your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking part of the brain, goes offline because your body's flooded with cortisol. And it takes sometimes 20 minutes to start thinking rationally again. And we've talked about this, or you might have seen this. So it's really, really important to complete the stress cycle by laughing or moving or crying. Like you have to complete it to get it out of your system. This is called emotional regulation. And I think right now we are all in this survival mode because if you look at the news, doesn't it feel like you're getting punched in the face every 2 seconds? Like nothing. I'm like, where's the good news? Like every headline feels like you're like, oh. And then our body goes into flight. Oh my God, I can't say fight, flight, freeze. And now there's a new one, fawn. So what helps with this? Relationships, y'all. Positive relationships, human connection, laughter, movement, leaning in with each other. That will help. And when you can build those cultures of positive relationships, that's going to help with calming our brains and moving towards learning. So that's why I start with mood meters. How long does it take every time you've been on one of these sessions? How long does the mood meter take? Not even like 15 seconds. And I have different ones. Like I still love the one I did of my dog. I think that's the funniest one, but there's a whole bunch of ones you can do one. I've had a staff did this with their superintendent. They did a mood meter of the superintendent, which I think is hilarious too, by the way. Or if you have a really like charismatic teacher, you could do one. just starting with a quick emotional regulation. Like, how are you feeling on a scale of this? Great. You honor those emotions. It gives you a quick formative assessment. You move on. You also can do some of these simple emotional regulation techniques in staff meetings. I'm even talking your teachers before kids do a difficult math task, before a state test, before anything. 3 things. Box breathing. Do you know what box breathing is? Have you ever heard that? Think of a box. You inhale for 4 seconds. You hold it for 4 seconds. You exhale and you hold it. Everyone is one deep breath away from instantly changing how they feel, even if it's 1% better. Like breathing is huge. A mindful minute. Oh, that's great, Brandy. Yes, if I'm in, my mind's racing in the middle of the night, I force myself to breathe too. It doesn't always work, but it's definitely helpful. A mindful minute. Just set a timer for a minute and just have people be quiet or play some light meditation music. Just be in the present. And not even a minute, it can be 30 seconds, right? Just calming our brains. And the other thing that works, it's free, y'all. It's called the creepy smile. Have I showed you this before? Here's how it works. You ready? That, that's it. You cannot not smile when people are smiling at you, especially creepily. We have mirror neurons in our brains. That's why when you yawn, somebody else yawns, even your dog yawns if you yawn. So by smiling and having, even having, if you're before today's testing day, everybody, we're going to do 30 seconds. You're going to stare at each other and smile. There's been research of depression patients that they've stood in front of the mirror and smiled for a certain amount of time each day, and it's helped their mood. So this is all based in neuroscience, y'all, but easy things to help with regulation. So how does AI help with this? You could use Kamigo to help create a self-regulation discussion prompts that maybe you could use, or some emotional lesson hooks, meeting starters. So what's a way to, if you don't like the mood meters or the breathing or the smiling, what's another creative way to just help people get their prefrontal cortex online? Because when we think about emotions, y'all, this is the thing that I just don't think people get in education until you're in education. So I don't think the lawmakers understand this. Humans are not beings who think and sometimes feel. Humans are beings who feel and sometimes think. And who works with middle schoolers? Yeah, probably all of you, right? That's like, whew, that's the time that you just feel. So when you as a leader are thinking about emotional regulation, I want you to think about being an emotional scientist, not an emotional judge, because you are also human. I know you have to lead a district or a building or even a classroom, but you are still a human who is going to feel and you are going to get triggered and you have to show by all examples. So I'm just going to honor by saying if you approach it with curiosity instead of judging yourself, that can be huge. So I'm going to give you 2 different frameworks. Again, this is being recorded. You can take screenshots. I have to figure out a way to share the deck. So Aviv, put that in the notes and figure out how to share this. Or we'll create we've been really good about creating the PDFs afterwards. So we'll have some of this stuff in there. But I adopted this. This is again leaning into Brene Brown's research, but you could try, it's called 60 seconds to breathing. So let's just put a real example, right? Like you have to run a staff meeting, but something just happened. A parent just screamed at you in your office. Has that ever happened to any of you? Have you ever gotten yelled at by a parent? How about a teacher? Right. How about you've come into school, you're carrying all the things, and somebody just is at your door, and you're like, oh my God, not again. But you have to shift. You have to be focused. What are you feeling? You got to feel it for 90 seconds, 60 seconds. You can't ignore the emotion. Maybe it's rage, frustration, anger, depression, whatever. Feel it. What are you saying to yourself? Like, God, if I wasn't late, I wouldn't have to deal with her. What happened? What was the thing that happened that hooked you? Like literally, it was just a human standing in front of me in my office. That's actually what happened. Like she didn't, like that's the actual thing that happened. But what am I telling myself that I never do this, I always do that. So what's true? You got to be a fact finder. Like what actually happened? And then how can I reframe it? Sounds like a lot of steps, but if you practice this, you can really get this down in a couple of minutes, and then it helps you as a leader to get back into what you need to do. Another framework, I'm actually taking a leadership course. I'm facilitating the discussion right after this through Khan Academy. But another way of thinking it is the APR framework: awareness, pause, reframe. So if the 6 steps seems a little complicated, awareness, pause, reframe, because you will get triggered. You are a human. Stuff happens. But if you can model some emotional regulation, your staff can also see that. So now pause point. What stood out to you? Have you seen these before? What's something that you might be working for you in your practice? I'm going to give you a chance to either type in the chat or share. And I'm going to creepy smile at you while we wait. It's like that 30 seconds of the lag in the chat. Anyone take a social and academic risk and share like Brandy did? She came off mute. Yeah, mood meters. They are so helpful. You could Google mood meters. There's so many out there. Really fun. Good way to just quick emotional regulation. Okay. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. If you can still type in the chat, even though I'm gonna move on to the next shift. It's okay. All right. Next shift from compliance to joyful learning. Compliance to joyful learning. How can you tell the difference between compliance and learning? How do you know if students are just behaving or if they're actually engaged? And my other question, can learning be playful? Or is this frivolous? Is this something that you're like, oh gosh, we can't do games? How do kids learn when there's games? So I'm going to think about both. How can you tell the difference between compliance and learning? And can learning be playful? Who wants to share? How do you know? How do you know when you walk into a classroom? Do you think the kids are just behaving or are they actually learning? What are the telltale signs? Whatever you say is correct. Even if you're watching this, thinking about it.
Danielle, I'd say just like, I mean, I've heard this 1,000 times, like if you walk into a classroom and it's quiet, it's kind of like questionable about what's going on. But if you walk in and it's noisy, and there's lots of activity going on, then there's learning happening there.
Does anyone want to comment on what Brandy just shared? Do we agree?
I
Michelle,
I agree.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in a little bit of a different role. I'm a TOSA. So some of this applies to me and some of this doesn't, but we do work with teachers a lot. So I'm taking this and applying it to when I run professional development for teachers. But as far as in the classroom or even in a classroom full of adults, I think learning 100% should be playful because that's, in my opinion, when you're learning the most and when you're what you're going to remember the most. When something is kind of boring and slow, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. So Brandy, exactly what you just said. If you are walking into a classroom and it is loud and people are moving around in our district, we encourage that because we want students to be taking ownership over their learning. We want discourse to be happening. And we really try to have teachers put students in groups intentionally so that they can learn within each other and collaborate together. Because in reality, when you get into any job that you're in, you're going to be collaborating in some way, shape, or form. So they have to learn how to do that productively.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing off of mute, both of you. So, yes to all of it. And Brian shared in the chat about his daughter diagramming sentences, looking super excited. Right? Was that your Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Diagramming.
that's my daughter Mora. And I keep this on my phone because it's just a gentle reminder of the delicate balance between compliance and joy. And now she's an attorney and she uses Grammarly, so the whole diagramming sentences didn't really work.
I'm sure she has to do some really exciting stuff as an attorney. My sister reads contracts and she's an attorney. But there's also some fun and playful things that too, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Yes. So I've been from even when I was a teacher to my educational travels for the last, 15 years. If you walk into a classroom and kids are sitting in rows and they're quiet, unless they're taking a test, I'm going to tell you it's not learning. It's really hard for students to really deepen that. And if that happens day in and day in and day in, and unfortunately, since COVID, a lot of teachers that were doing more interactive, more hands-on learning, more playful learning, because they had to shift and go back to the virtual learning. Then when we came back to school, behavior is still an issue. So it does require really strong classroom management and connection and relationships to create those learning environments. So I'd say Melissa, Michelle. I'd make up names all the time. Michelle, which is literally right there on the screen. This does apply to you as a human too. So you can use this in your own life. You can use all of these activities with teachers, with all of it. But I want to lean into some research around play because I don't want you to think or anyone to think. And when we talk about what you just said, I love you said about collaboration. In the age of AI, what are the skills we actually need to teach kids? Because we're building for a world of AI. Do they need to know how to diagram a sentence? Oh no, they can use Grammarly. What do they need to know? What are the human skills, right? How to connect, how to communicate, how to collaborate, how to create, all the C's, all the words that begin with C's. That is where we need to shift. When we talk about revolutionizing education, which I'm not even there today, I'm just talking about how you as leaders can make things 1% better for the educators in your building today by doing some very small shifts, but any relationship building connection that will help enhance learning. So when we think about play, Stuart Brown, have you ever heard of Stuart Brown? He's a play researcher. He has the National Institute for Play. And I was looking when I was researching him, I've read this book, I've seen his TED Talk, but they actually have a really cool thing that I wish I could go to. They have a Playtopia that they bring educators together and literally do like 4 days of play. They go into the woods and all sorts of stuff. And when I was a burned out teacher, I joined a summer long writing thing. And then I had the courage to join an improv troupe where improv is just adult play. It changed my life, literally. Like it was so fun to have that element of play. Now it can be anything, right? You can go and play pickleball. Pickleball is a thing. There's quizzes on the National Institute for Play. It turns out I'm a storyteller. Like I love writing. I love telling stories. Obviously, I love crafting a message to share with y'all. So that's like my form of play. But play helps us shape our brains, helps foster empathy, navigate social groups, and play is the core of creativity and innovation. And in this world of AI, don't we want to teach more creativity and innovation as humans? So what can you do? What can you do today to encourage this as leaders? Create space for staff to share some joyful moments or playful moments. And y'all, I use ChatGPT to create these crazy images. So you could actually use AI to help you create some prompts or even images like this if you didn't know like what a smile jar looked like. But you could have staff have you could have a jar in the office that staff could have really fun things or joyful things or wins, and then you could announce it once a week, pull from the jar. You could have a poster in the faculty room. There's so much stuff that can be done because when you can create a culture where you see it, it's visible, then it matters. Also, permission slips. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Brian just, I wrote a LinkedIn article that also shares a lot of these activities too. Permission slips are huge. We are in a culture of perfectionism, and especially for educators. Sometimes if it's not perfect, if it's not Pinterest isn't even a thing anymore. Is it? Do people use Pinterest or is that like with MySpace? I think it went to the MySpace world. no longer. Um, Giving teachers permission to be playful, because I think a lot of times, especially now, we don't want teachers just to serve the reserve playful energy or joy in teaching until May and June of the year. They can do it before testing season too, y'all. You know what? Kids will actually learn more when they feel engaged, when they feel seen, when they're playful. But you could create permission slips and hand it out to teachers, especially some teachers who maybe aren't as joyful or playful. You could say, you know what? I see you. I give you permission. Or have certain days of the month be joyful learning days where you actually encourage the entire building to do some sort of playful energy, not movies. I'm not talking using this to just have a movie day or ice cream party. Those are also important too. But how can we create more playful learning experiences? You could have celebrate risk and creativity with an epic fail award, where you're focusing on celebrating courage over perfection. You could even have staff meetings start with drum rolls. Give out ridiculous trophies like gold sprayed painted rubber chickens, just anything that's joyful, playful, things that you can pass the trophy, or the most glorious flop, or the big musical energy. Like we're actually, our internal teams are doing yearbook awards, which like who's the best person who rolls their eyes, who's the person who's most likely to have 1,000 tabs open on their computer. Like things like that are really fun. Just encourage play and joyful as a staff. Give out creativity kudos. Look at these cute little creativity kudos that ChatGPT created for me. Y'all, you don't have to, with AI, it can streamline some of this stuff. If you are a creative person and want to doodle all of this, great. You could use Canva. You can use this. Literally, I just went in ChatGPT and said, give me a creativity kudo poster. You could do, again, I loved how Brandy shared earlier about she wrote notes that the teacher handed out to children. You could give creativity kudos in teachers' mailboxes. You could give them, leave surprise notes to places and then attach them to small perks. You know what? Teachers love coffee, right? Don't they? I think so. Right? Do you love coffee? Everybody loves coffee or tea. That's fine. But maybe giving out gift cards that are attached to it or an extra prep period or snacks. And the same thing, if you model this for teachers and you create these, give a set to teachers to give out to students. It's always paying it forward, being the model. How can Conmigo help you? You can ask Conmigo to help you with lesson hooks. How do I start with a creative start or end with a playful spin? Or maybe I want to reframe the PLC framework. Maybe even if you're holding a family night or a family event, you can use the lesson hook and exit ticket. So these just aren't for just teachers. Leaders can use these tools to help have these spins, playful spins for anything that you're doing. If you haven't seen the Conmigo tools, we have a partnership with Blukit. Has anyone ever heard what Blukit is? Do you know what that is? So it's kind of like a Kahoot. They're in the same vein, but you can actually use, can you see this? Can you all see my screen? Am I showing Khan Academy? Okay. So again, this is all free, y'all. You can log in and get free teacher tools. It's called Blukit, and it should show the free teacher tools. Oh, here we go. It's the first one up here. So how this works is you can give it some prompts. Like even if I wanted to use the question generator to create a bunch of questions on emotional regulation, then I could create a Blukit game that I would have at the beginning of a staff meeting on emotional regulation questions. See what I did there? But you can use this for a review. It's basically a competitive, fun gamification of answering questions. So that's available for free. We also have the lesson planning tool. So maybe you really want to do a full day of PLC, like Michelle was sharing that she's doing staff development. So if you're leading staff development, you also can use our lesson planning tool to help you make things more engaging, more human-centered, more playful, like use these activities with the tools to help it be a little bit more purposeful. All right, that's a lot of me talking. What have you done to help you move from compliance to joy? Anyone else want to share? I know you. Thank you, Melissa, Brandy, and Brian for sharing. Anyone else want to add their voice? Or in the chat?
I'll share. We do fun check-in questions in pretty
Mm.
much any meeting that we start, whether it's just like an internal meeting or with our teachers that we work with. And it's very similar to what you had said earlier about that like human moment. So they're, like silly things and silly questions that just like allows people to kind of get to know each other in a little bit of a different light, questions that you would not normally ask, like the superhero one. And it definitely just kind of changes the mood of the room, like you had said before.
Thank you, Melissa, for sharing. Yes. I just thought of a fun question like, who is your favorite Muppet and why? Or if you could be a Muppet, what would your Muppet name be? There's, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but anything that helps people remember they're human. Because in education, we are educating humans. We're one of the only industries that can say that. And humans have their own life experiences and all these things. So we need to honor them. And then when you do that, the learning will happen. But if you don't do that, learning's not going to happen, y'all. It's going to be more compliance. Christine, thank you for sharing connection cafes. Oh, I love that for staff throughout the year. Gatherings to do fun things with staff like Christmas time, create ornaments, simmer pots. I thought that said, okay, cooking. I needed my glass. I need to get new glasses. So I thought it said something else, but that's really great. Thank you for sharing. Anything that you can do, the small things make a huge difference. So the final shift, I invite you to think about, how do we move from overwhelmed to empowerment, right? I'm going to tell you, educators do not need more goals, to-dos, OKRs, compliance, uh, regulations, time. I don't even know what. They need time. They need time with each other. They need time to collaborate. They need time to plan. And they will feel empowered when they're allowed to have more of their agency and clarity. Because I have seen in my travels of talking to districts in the last year, especially post-COVID, I know a lot of you have are in districts or you bought all the things. Who's in a district that maybe you have all the things? Like this tech tool, this curriculum, this. You don't need one more thing. Teachers need time to make sense of it, which is why AI is kind of interesting because you could have your favorite math curriculum, math core, and your favorite assessment, but sometimes you have a hard time making the two make sense, which AI can help with. So how do we build more time for teachers? Just do it, y'all. Like, give them time. When I was a teacher, the biggest gift my principal could give me, I lobbied her for a full day planning with my sixth grade planning team. And she said yes, she got subs. And I know subs are hard to get, but she agreed because I gave her a plan of what needed to happen. Like we had just got the New York State new modules. So I'm aging myself, right? Is anyone from New York remember the New York modules that came out? Yeah. I was learning the standards the day before I was teaching it. It did not work. So I'm like, we need a day just to breathe, just to figure out how we're going to approach all of this. And she gave it to us. You could also create a intentional playful planning sheet. So if you know that playfulness, intentional collaboration, small group station rotations or small group collaboration is not as priority as some of your educators, give them an intentional playful planning sheet while you give them time to actually plan. Model what it looks like to have empowered action. Model for teachers, model for the people you're leading. Give them steps after PLC meetings. Give them steps after development days. Like for you, your action step from this, because you're spending an hour with me, which is huge gold. I so appreciate your time. I would love for you to try one of these and then maybe comment on LinkedIn or email me. You know what I mean? Like try something. Do the easy low hanging fruit, a question before a staff meeting, a mood meter, or you can take time to try some of these AI things. You could also, this is a little crazy, y'all, choose your own adventure scenarios and professional development. Reinforce that it's okay to not know everything, but the journey is part of it. And I created this really interesting choose your own adventure thing in ChatGPT. Like AI can create some really cool things for you, but you need to show it, model it, create the space, provide the time and space for teachers. How does Conmigo help? You can use the ChatGPT to help draft any professional development summaries, help with family communications, or even if you just did walkthrough notes, maybe you just did a classroom walkthrough, ask ChatGPT to help you get bullet points and action steps for the teachers. Use the lesson planning tool to help focus PLC planning. They don't just need to use lesson planning tool for lessons with kids. You can have lead teachers use the lesson planning to help make things a little bit more streamlined for PLC meetings. If teachers are leading professional development, all of that. So, what are you going to commit to? What's something that you are going to say or something that you currently do to help teachers move from just feeling like there's too many things to I got this and I can do one thing? A little time for anyone want to share. I love that you're sharing. We're moving more in activity. Wait till next month is all about fun. We're going to do some fun, have some fun. Brandy's going to commit to action steps after a meeting, right? Because the second they look at data, it goes away, right? Until the next time you ask them to meet. So what's a good action step you can have teachers do? That's great. Anyone else want to share? Yeah. I don't know if you can do that during the school day. Brian mentioned alcohol. That's the other thing. Anytime you ask teachers what brings them joy, just make sure that if alcohol will be on the poster, it's in the staff room because you don't need to broadcast that all over the halls. But wine will make the board. I've done that enough times with educators that it definitely will. Yes. So I appreciate you. I would love to know from you, what is one thing you commit from this whole session? What's one thing you're going to take away, and what is your committed action? I would love for all of you to type something in the chat if you are able. If you are watching this, I just want you to think about it, maybe even say it out loud. And if you don't want to come off of mute, you want to say it out loud, that's cool too. But I'm going to give you 30 seconds for you to commit to one thing based on today's learning that you commit to do to help create more learning environments. All right, we got Michelle already typed in, start each meeting with a human moment. That is what Michelle's committing to doing. Sounds like she's already doing a great job. Thank you for sharing. And if you have it, you can give me a thumbs up if you're on camera. And type it in. Was this helpful? Did you find things that I gave you a lot of ideas. More handwritten notes. Oh, I love that. Be more and create a wall of reflection. Oh, thank you, Christine. I love that. Intentional reflection. Great. Yeah, stop multitasking. So I appreciate all of you for being here, all of you for watching. So the next step, we have 2 more of these. Next month's in April. May is going to be fun. We're going to be we're going to have fun together, show you some really fun activities you can do to end the year strong. And then the last one in June, I'm hopefully going to give you a sneak peek of what's coming for next school year with Khan Academy. We're launching something in 26 called Khan Academy Classrooms. I want to give you a little sneak peek of what that looks like. And again, if you are interested in partnering with us, you can visit. We have a Learning Collective page where you can watch a demo and all the things. But so joy, gratitude, and fun is Tuesday in May. And then the last one, we'll talk about what's new and what's coming. So this is me. This is how you can get a hold of me. I just appreciate all of you for your time, your attention, and thank you for everything that you're doing with students and teachers and for just being a leader in this crazy time that we call education. But I'll stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone has any questions, but if not, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Hi, Danielle. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I just sent you a question. Our district is using Khan Academy,
Yes.
and we would like to speak to you regarding providing professional development to our teachers during the summer.
Great. So send me an email and I'll reach out to you all and we can schedule a time to talk.
Okay, at Danielle
Danielle
Sullivan.
Sullivan at khanacademy.org. Yep.
Okay, and in the email, how should I pose the question?
Oh, just say, hey, I'm from Salamanca City. We'd love to talk about PL, and I'll make sure they'll reach out to y'all and we can schedule a time to talk. There's a
Very
booking
well.
link in there that you can just book time with me. It's so much easier.
Right at your email?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
send me
will.
an email. I'll email you back with the booking link, and then we can get something that we can talk about this summer.
Very well. And it would be myself, you'll see the email come from me, but I'll also include the principal Long in there as well.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. Have a blessed
Thank
day.
you.
Okay.
If no one else has questions, thanks everybody so much. Have a great day.